Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gathigan Automotive channel. Today we got a good nuts and bolts video. This is a 2007 Chevy Silverado 1500 and it's got a bad wheel bearing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you can hear it. That's no good. The wheel bearings on these vehicles are serviced as a hub assembly, so you buy the entire hub. It comes with a new wheel speed sensor. So we're going to go through the steps on how you change that out. So let's get started. Surprise, surprise, the first step, you're going to take a wheel off. Wheel bearings on these aren't super complicated. Really the biggest challenge you can face with them is if the hub is rusted in place really bad, and you're gonna fight it a little bit. But we got some methods. We got some methods of dealing with that. First thing we're gonna want to do is take the brake caliper off. It's 21. This is the heavy duty Silverado heavy duty package. It's got bigger stuff on it. Bigger brakes, bigger springs, you know, all that good stuff. So 21 millimeter to take the two bolts off from the brake caliper bracket. Just two of these. Mount the caliper bracket itself. We're going to leave the caliper and the pads and everything on the bracket and just hang the entire assembly. It's the easiest way to deal with it. Okay. So on this particular vehicle, the wheel speed sensor is a part of the hub assembly and it comes with it. So we are going to undo 1, 2, 3 clips that hold the wiring, unplug it up under the fender, get it out of the way, and then there is a 10 mil headed bolt right here that holds your brake line on to the steering knuckle or to the spindle. So we're going to take that off so that lets us move our caliper further out of the way. We'll hang our caliper over there somewhere. Does it help if I show you guys what we're doing exactly? So, we got a brake caliper. This is our wheel speed sensor wire, and you see it has a plastic bracket here, retainer, another one up top, a third one back in here. It plugs up into the fender. I'm not going to be able to show you that. It's going to be too hard to get a camera in there, but just follow the wire up, unplug it, you'll get it. These types of retainers you can pry out with any kind of like interior trim tool, something like that. This type, you squeeze the edges. Can you see that? It's kind of triangle shaped. You squeeze the edges down with pliers and then pull it out. I'm not super concerned about it. I'm not super concerned about saving it, because obviously new bracket comes with new ones, but we'll do it anyways. The customer complained that, and actually surprisingly they didn't really hear a noise. They said you could feel it when you were driving. They called it a vibration. I drove it, and you could feel it. It was weird, not like a normal wheel bearing. You felt like a thud in the steering wheel almost. And obviously we know why now, but pretty interesting. Get this wheel speed sensor unhooked. here's our wheel speed sensor. Leave that hanging out of the way. Let's get this 10 mm bolt out. Somewhere, somehow, I got a socket. You have to forgive me, my organization is horrible today. It's been a very busy few weeks, and shop cleaning and stuff has kind of fallen to the wayside. So I have tools everywhere. Every place you could lay a tool down, that's where I put it. Alright, so let's get this caliper bracket off. Swing this over here out of the way. Find a good place to hang it. That's a good spot. Hang it on the sway bar. You guys can see. I don't know if I can get you a better camera angle. Alright. Let's get the brake rotor out of the way. This truck was originally a Canadian truck. That's where it was built and sold, or at least sold. So it's got more rust than your usual truck. I'll see if I can get you guys a good view of the play that's in this wheel bearing. So this is your hub assembly. It comes with this flange that has all of your wheel studs, mounts all the way back at this point. Better view on it. So, if you watch, I don't know if I can show it. Hard to do one-handed. It's got movement, and it should have no movement at all. There should be none. Pretty common on a GM. They blow through wheel bearings pretty quick. So the next step is going to be, we're going to remove this, what used to be a grease cap, and now it's just a cap to cover the threads of the axle shaft. Use a chisel or a hammer. We'll get that out of the way. We'll take the axle nut off, free up the axle if it's rusted. And then it's as simple as there's 4 bolts that I'll show you that hold the hub on. And there you go. Okay, so what we're going to do is just catch the lip of this cap. There's no great way to get these off without, you know, it's good. They're going to distort a little bit. Just like that. Here's our cap. And yeah, it's distorted, you know, from obviously here. We'll hammer it out, flatten it back out, it'll be fine. It really serves no purpose. There's no fluid it's retaining. It really just covers up your axle nut. That's all it does. Helps keep that from rusting, kinda. Not a huge deal if it's a little misshaped. Does not affect anything. See if we can figure out what size that is. 35 millimeter socket. There. Take the washer off. Okay, the axle shaft is free floating in there. Get this turned a little bit, and I'll show you where the fasteners are that hold the hub to the spindle. Let's see if we can get an eye on this. So there's 4 bolts. They take a 15 millimeter socket. Look at it from the side view, you can kind of see the 2. So hub assembly all the way to here. Here's 1 bolt, 2 bolt, and then the same on the other side. Come in, pop them out. Where they generally will rust in place, where you'll fight them, is where the hub pilots into the spindle, because they actually pilot into it to center it. They'll rust there, and sometimes they can be a real pain in the butt. Hopefully not today, but if they are, we have a couple tricks. The biggest trick is if you have access to an air hammer, once you get all the bolts out, you take an air hammer onto the side of the hub, you know, in a place like this. Anywhere you can hit it, let me show you. Hit it and rotate it with an air hammer, you know, with a chisel bit or whatever. Rotate it one way, go to the other side, rotate it back. That'll kind of break the corrosion and the rust up, and then you can get them out a lot easier that way. So, see what we can do. .15 millimeter, like I said. That's not good. Okay, so the bolts are stuck. Next thing I want to do, we'll grab a very long ratchet, a lot of leverage. Impacts are great, but never underestimate what actual just leverage will do for you. We'll break them loose like that. Break that first initial friction you gotta get past, and then we can spin them out the rest of the way. Just like that. 2 bolts, and they are shouldered. You can see that there. You see there's a shoulder on that bolt. That also helps center the hub. It centers through the spindle. It's very important that your wheel bearing is perfectly centered. I haven't made that clear yet. Alright, bring this back the other way. Okay, and we're just going to jump straight to the ratchet with this. These two are the exact same spot. You can't miss them. Break these loose. There's one. And there's 2. Okay, we got all the bolts out, and good news is it looks like the hub's already separating, which is awesome. Oh, it's beautiful. That's when you're a mechanic, it's things like this that make your day. When stuff actually comes apart the way it's supposed to. Just gonna wiggle it, we're gonna jiggle it. Grab a hammer, smack this thing out of here. Make sure we got everything off of it. Go. There she goes. Okay. Slide her off just like that. Here's our hub assembly. Bracket. Stuck. This is your backing plate. This stays with the vehicle. You don't get any one of these. Hang that there. And that is how you get the hub off of 99% of Chevrolet or GM trucks. So, now we've got that. What I like to do, there is an O-ring in here. That's what we were kind of fighting, popping it out. There's actually not nearly as much rust in the important areas that I was expecting, which is good. What we'll do, we'll actually grab some brake clean, wash this off, maybe grab a brush, just scrape some of the rust off the axle shaft. Clean up this mating surface so that our hub can bolt up flat. Put it all back together. Nice and pretty. And a lot of this rust that we're seeing is just surface rust that just kind of wipes off. Okay. I'm satisfied with that. So I'll kind of show you this O-ring that I'm talking about. Get a light over here where you can see it. So if you look down in there, you see a black O-ring. You can see it right there. That's what we were pulling against when we took the hub out. You pretty much don't really have to worry about the rust to be on that, because that's not something that touches the hub. And you can see our axle shaft's pretty clean. We got our mating surface cleaned up. So now we're still waiting on the new hub. Get the new hub here and show you how to put it all back together. Something that I like to do, not everybody does, is I like to take some anti-seize and get some on the axle shaft splines, anywhere that they can get stuck. So anywhere where there's a metal to metal contact, they can rust, they can corrode, and they can get stuck. Like I said in the previous video, I live in an area that doesn't get rust very often, but we do occasionally. So if, maybe the next guy down the road goes to do a wheel bearing again on this, it'd be a lot easier for him to take the wheel bearing out. Hub assembly, I should say. Okay, let's go grab the new hub, get this thing rocking and rolling. Okay, we got our new hub assembly here. Shiny, pretty new. As you can see, comes with a new wheel speed sensor. Try to keep that out of the way for now. Now, we got to get the backing plate back on the hub assembly in the right spot and keep everything lined up while we put it on the spindle. It can kind of be a pain in the butt, so just be patient with it. Trying to line up, 3 separate bolt holes at the same time can be frustrating. So we've lubed up everything. You can see I'm just going to slide it over the axle, give it a little twist to get the splines to line up on your axle shaft. Be mindful of your wheel speed sensor wire. You do not want to pinch it or cut it putting it in here. Just kind of keep it anywhere you can that's out of the way. You don't need to worry about. Grab our bolts. Just get my hands started. A tip, a free tip, as Erico would say, free tip Tuesday. Whenever you have a component that you're putting together, it's got multiple bolts that hold it. Don't ever put one bolt in and then tighten it down all the way. Get all of your bolts started, then tighten your bolts. You will be so glad that you did. Because what happens when you tighten one bolt, things kind of get out of line. It tightens up towards the area that you tighten the bolt. And you'll cross thread bolts, you can break bolts, and do a lot of things that are very upsetting. Get some light on this situation. How many bolts we can drop today. One, two, three, 4. Okay, we've got all the bolts started. Buzz them on there. Okay, well, you guys are getting a glimpse at the idea that mechanics also make mistakes. I'm new to making videos, so while I'm talking to you and trying to explain stuff, everything looks okay until you look at this backing plate and realize I just put it on backwards. It protrudes this way, you can't put the rotor on. So now I get to pop the hub back off, flip it around, and that's awesome. So just so you know, everybody makes mistakes, even something simple like that, putting the dust shield on backwards. So flip that around real quick and continue on. Okay, nothing like doing something twice. Really get you going for the day. All right, where were we? Put the excellent back on. Wait for that air compressor to stop. Okay, so we gotta get her. Dust cap back on there. Get our rotor hanging back on there. Here's a trick. You see how the rotor kind of hangs there? That can make it a pain in the butt to put your caliper back on. So, one thing that I do is I have a ton of extra axle nuts from CV axles and whatnot that you do because they come in new nuts. So you slip that over to take up some gap. Put a lug nut on just to keep it straight. Makes assembly so much easier. The less stuff you can fight, the better. Back up and around. Starter here. Rotate that. Get her sitting in there. Get your caliper brackets started. Again, get both of them started, threaded with your fingers first before you tighten either one of them. Trust me, don't put that to the test. You'll regret it. There. And something I guess a note to make is if you do this job and you hop in the truck to go drive away, pump your brake pedal real quick because just removing the caliper, I've compressed the pads a little bit. So your brakes are going to have a little bit further travel than usual. So it's definitely something you want to be mindful of when doing it. Okay, of course torque your caliper bolts to spec, which is a few ugga-duggas. Okay, like that, we'll go ahead and take this off. Get our brake hose bracket back where she's supposed to be. Tighten that down. There's a 10mm. Now, I'm going to route our wheel speed wire. Better shot of kind of where it goes. Okay, so the first bracket goes here. For sure until she clips. Look it up. Next bracket goes there. Third bracket goes on the shock tower. Plug it in. It plugs in pretty much right behind the top of the shock. Okay, and there we go. Supposed to clip. There she goes. Okay. Last part of this puzzle. Just put our wheel back on. Take her for a spin just to make sure, you know, we don't have some goofy new part issue, something like that. When you're grabbing these wheels to spin them around, don't grab it by the back of the brake rotor here. You'll squeeze your backing plate and then you'll put it all together and drive it, and the backing plate's going to rub and make noise, and it's going to suck, and go in there and bend it back. So just something to take note of. There it is. Grab your wheel. Nothing there. It's tight as can be. That's it. Well guys, that's all I have today. That's how you change the hub assembly on GM Chevrolet pickups from early 2000s to almost current years. All pretty much exactly the same. Some are 3-bolt, some are 4. That's it. Something I didn't mention is if you're doing a job like this yourself, safety is kind of paramount. You have to jack the vehicle up. You have to support it with jack stands. I have access to a lift. So you need to be careful of that. You don't want to drop a vehicle on yourself. Safety glasses, gloves if you got them. And just take it easy, go slow, don't break stuff. and everything should be fine. So if you liked the video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button. I'll try to get another video up this coming week. And I think that's it. So thanks for watching, guys.